As we continue our journey with Autism Acceptance Month, joining me in the studio is Jax from our sister station, Rocky Mountain PBS. She is here to share with us their latest adventure with Carl the Collector. The series breaks new ground as the first PBS Kids show to feature central characters on the autism spectrum. It's a new 2D animated series for children ages 4 to 8. Created by New York Times best-selling illustrator and author Zachariah O'Hara. Through its relatable stories, characters, and messages with a production team that includes neurodiverse writers, production staff, animators, advisors, and voice talent. Carl the Collector showcases and celebrates our differences and commonalities, and that we all have something unique to offer. Isn't that true? The series is produced by Fuzzytown Productions and Spiffy Pictures on PBS Kids in English and Spanish. Good morning, Jax. Thank you for taking time to join us here on KUVO's Community Connection.
Good morning, Tree. It's such a pleasure to be here as Rocky Mountain PBS Kids linguistic and cultural manager to talk about Carl and his friends.
Yes, Carl and his friends. Now, whose idea was it to create a character on the autism spectrum?
You know, I would say that when it comes to PBS Kids shows, a huge piece of what is integrated in the content is representation. And so we know that it matters when we can kind of see a piece of ourselves in the things that we're watching, listening, reading. And so, as you mentioned, this is the first time that a PBS Kids series is centering an autistic main character. And it's really something special where the show gets to spotlight neurodiverse characters while exploring and celebrating the entire spectrum of humanity.
That is exciting, truly, because, it takes a special person to bring it to life. And obviously, that's what's happening here. Now, what is Carl the Collector, and a collector of what? And is he a perfectionist?
Right. So Carl, as we mentioned, he's a raccoon, or I understand that the creator of the show kind of has an obsession with raccoons. And so that's a little bit, I think, of how we ended up with Carl in the main character role. As we understand the autism spectrum, there are different characteristics, like Carl pays attention to detail, and he has a distinctive way of looking at the world. And of course, true to his name, he has extensive collections to help him solve problems around Fuzzytown with his other friends, who are woodland creatures too. And so it's been a really cool thing to see people's reactions to this show that is featuring a group of neurodivergent and neurotypical friends. And really, they're modeling how all of us can be helpful, supportive, and appreciative of each other's ways of different thinking.
That's exciting. Exciting. Now, what are some of the stories about?
Yeah, I think it's important to also kind of remind people that anytime you're watching a PBS Kids show, a lot of work has gone into it between creatives and educators. So these stories are about really teaching kids in a fun way, about showing Carl and his friends they're working and playing together. And in the process, they're finding out what makes each of them who they are, and really even appreciating their differences and leaning into empathy and compassion. And so in each of the kind of episodes, somehow a collection that Carl has will figure into the problem solving that the friends are taking an adventure on. And really, you see them treasure their relationship as friends and treasure each other. And so that's why we're proud of this kind of content that we can bring to the community.
It'd be a much better world if adults thought like that.
We often find that we may have lessons for kids, but, lifelong learning is definitely a thing, and it never hurts to have a reminder to be kind and compassionate to others with this great show.
This is true. You're never too old to learn. So are the other characters in the series on the autism spectrum?
Yes, I do know that one of the characters, she is a fox on the show, and I understand that she is a representation of young girls on the autism spectrum, because there is differences in maybe the characteristics between genders and how young children may present as being on the spectrum. And so other characters are a beaver and a squirrel who happens to be allergic to nuts because
Wow.
there's no one way to be, and you can be a squirrel who's allergic to nuts, and that's okay. And some twin bunny rabbits. So really living up to the name Fuzzy Town with all the woodland creature friends in the show.
Yeah, I like that Fuzzy Town, and
It's cute.
it's so cool to see all this uniqueness that even the squirrels are allergic to nuts. Come on, that is
It's
just
it's cute.
far-fetched but cute.
It's silly, it's cute, and we want to bring those things in our educational content as well, right? Really connecting to community, and again, people being able to see themselves in these characters and in these stories. And what I love about this show is that it is modeling and teaching too. We can benefit when everybody recognizes and embraces our difference, when we expand perspectives of autism and neurodiversity. There's no one way to be. There's lots of different ways of thinking, and we can embrace each other.
Yes, embrace each other and bring it all together to something beautiful.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, what is the hope of creating this series? Perhaps a better understanding and acceptance for the future generations?
I think certainly that, and you will definitely find that some of the core messages of the show, again, are about self-discovery and identity and that acceptance. And I think it's another goal that we have, certainly at Rocky Mountain PBS, that we want to get out there in the community and let people know we are a resource for you when it comes to PBS Kids content. Carl currently has a whole collection, in recognition of this month on our website, PBS Learning Media, and that's content that is really complementary to the show that educators and families can use. There's even an educator's guide and some curriculum available on our website, and that looks like there's printables where you can choose your own adventure and their character cards with Carl and his Fuzzy Town friends, and there's some understanding emotion character cards and a bunch of activities that again relate to kind of the educational element of our programming and also the human element that we are trying to uplift as well.
That is beautiful to be able to reach out there and get all these different resources. So that's going to help everybody, whether you are on the spectrum or not. Maybe you have a neighbor that you're not sure how to handle. This will bring a lot of people to light. A lot of this information will help people out there that don't know much about the spectrum that can learn a lot from PBS. Thank you so much for bringing us this incredible, valuable information. We appreciate you for spending time with us today on Community Connection, a Colorado where everyone feels seen and heard.